Jay Gabler, Duluth News Tribune arts and entertainment reporter, back with another special episode of the DNT Minute featuring my column, Front Row Seat. This week I write about a new book on Twin Ports trains, a high-interest topic to say the least. Lake Superior Railroad Museum director Ken Buehler likes to say that,
if you work it hard enough, it all comes back to the railroad.
a new book called Twin Ports Trains demonstrates that when it comes to the history of Duluth and Superior, you don't need to work it very hard at all. In fact, throughout the critical decades of the late 19th and early 20th centuries, it would be impossible to explain the development of Duluth and Superior without pointing to the role of rail. In 1869, Railroad Baron J. Cook personally chose Duluth as the northern terminus of the Lake Superior and Mississippi Railroad. People on the Wisconsin side of the harbor would have preferred a terminus allowing Cook to omit the word lake from the railroad's name and just make it the Superior and Mississippi Railroad. That 15-year head start some 150 years ago is a key factor explaining why Duluth remains the largest twin port. Once that train access was secured, Duluthians started furiously digging to create harbor access through Minnesota Point. Thus emerged the Duluth Ship Canal, with the city's most iconic landmark built to cross it. Carriers, including the Duluth-Mesabi and Iron Range Railway, tied the range's rich mineral deposits to the Twin Ports and North Shore ore docks. Carriers, including the Duluth-Mesabi and Iron Range Railway, tied the range's rich mineral deposits to the Twin Ports and North Shore ore docks. Farewell to dog trains and United States mails on one-horse sleds, the News Tribune wrote triumphantly when the DM&IR reached the city in 1886. Well, the interstate highway system finally deflated the railroad's dominant influence on Twin Ports traffic. To this day, railroads remain key to the area's industrial might and visual identity. It's no coincidence that Duluth's landmark Cultural Heritage Center is a train depot, nor that the museum and tourist railroad based there remain major draws. Cornerstone Twin Ports industries, including steel production, brewing, and manufacturing, all developed in what authors Tony Durkins and Jeff Lemke describe as a symbiotic relationship with railroads. The more lines reached a community, the more it prospered. The lines that got there first collected the largest shares of the resulting pie. Railroad developers wrangling for access, variously competing and merging, became a signature story of American capitalism. That dynamic also makes the railroad historian's job fiendishly complex. Each line had its own story with its own colorful characters and its own specific relationship to the communities it served. Well, Durkins and Lemke don't dumb their story down. They provide an immense service simply by compacting the history of Twin Ports trains between two covers. Full disclosure, after reading Twin Ports trains, but before writing this column, I volunteered a concise assessment that appears on the back of the book. As recently as a couple years ago, when I was trying to understand the local role of empire builder James J. Hill, experts like Buehler could point me to histories of individual lines, like the Great Northern, for example, but not to any one volume that comprehensively explained the railroad's local history. Reading Twin Ports trains helped me understand in much more detail what Buehler meant when he told me that Hill was late to the party in the Northland. The book's appeal will be obvious to the region's many rail fans. Any resident or regular visitor, though, will find plenty of revelations as they leaf through its 224 pages. For starters, the book covers some of Duluth's most familiar historic structures. First and foremost is the Duluth Union Depot, now known as the St. Louis County Depot, a building that narrowly avoided the wrecking ball when the neighboring Sioux Line Union Station was picked to be the county's cultural center. The latter building, though, was found to have flooding damage. And, like a Miss America runner-up, the 1892 Union Depot was ready and waiting to step in. Then there's Endian Station, which today stands just off the Lake Walk and serves as a boutique hotel. It was originally located in the Endian neighborhood, a terminus of the Duluth and Iron Range Railroad until being moved in the 1980s during the extension of Interstate 35. The book quotes architectural historian Charles Nelson describing the Cross Gables Station as an example of I. Vernon Hill's highly aggressive and personal turn-of-the-century style. Kind of makes you look at the building a little differently, doesn't it? Needless to say, Twin Ports Trains doesn't omit bridges, including the Grassy Point Bridge, opened in 1912 and slated to make history again if the Northern Lights Express comes to fruition and uses that bridge to cross the St. Louis River estuary. In the meantime, as the authors note, the bridge supports a few trains each day and serves as a stuffed animal graveyard. If you're just flipping through, the pictures alone might draw you in. The book has over 280 illustrations, among them newly created maps and vintage woodcuts, as well as numerous rare photographs. Regular visitors to the Railroad Museum will spot familiar faces like the William Crooks, Minnesota's first locomotive and a Hallmark movie star, and the Minnetonka, which reached Duluth with the Northern Pacific in 1870. I was fascinated by photos of the depot under construction, of the attempts at building docks on the lakeside of the ship canal. Uncle Harvey wasn't the only one who had that dream, and the Duluth, South Shore, and Atlantic's slogan trains, with boxcars used for advertising purposes. One of those trains, not pictured in the book, made a direct pitch from the Duluth Chamber of Commerce to the merchants in Boston, where the train was headed. Carrying greetings from the Zenith City to the Hub, the train's exterior said, "We offer you the wealth of our empire. Come and take it." Whether that bold invitation had any effect on the East Coast Brahmins remains unknown, but that 1890 slogan train attracted crowds of admirers in both Duluth and Superior, where it made an additional stop to show off its signage. Then, as now, in the Twin Ports, a good train was something worth turning out for. Twin Ports Trains, the book, will be launched with an August 1st event at, where else? The Lake Superior Railroad Museum. For more information, check out zenithcity.com. And of course, check out duluthnewstribune.com to see this column in print and see some great photographs from that book, Twin Ports Trains. That's this week's column. I will be back next week to tell you all about what it was like to take my first ever silks class. Yeah, the things that you hold on to and twist around your body and you go up in the air and then one way or another you come down. But that's next week. Until then, I'm Jay Gabler, Duluth News Tribune.